So you're saying that we don't have to go to therapy for all of our life? I mean, that really kills the psychology model. I mean, you might get thrown out of that community because they're thinking, well, wait a minute, that just messes up our business model completely. Because I mean, this is the challenge with so many people out there. I mean, they literally spend their entire lives trying to figure out their past lives and stuff. And I don't know. I don't know how effective that is. When I was 21, when I went into business, first thing I did, and I don't know if this has any correlation to some of the things that Anthony Robbins has taught in the past, but I'm a big fan. And again, I remember him saying, I mean, this was 25 years ago. I remember him saying that you could, with the way that technology is today and the things that we know today, you don't have to spend all your life in therapy. You don't have to spend all your life paying hundreds of dollars an hour to a shrink. And so is that kind of what you're getting at here is maybe, using modern day technology, using the newer way of thinking, to maybe speed things up a little bit versus being a victim to our circumstances for the rest of our life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. In fact, we worked with a fellow from Canada recently who was kind of a clinical traditional psychotherapist. And he worked with us for 3 months, and he was clearing out all his problems along the way. And at the end of his program, he came back to us, and he seemed quite frustrated and sad. And when we asked him what was going on, he said, I have quite the dilemma. My whole life, my whole career is based on this concept of, telling people that it's going to take them years and years of exploration and digging and exploring these stories to heal. And in an hour or two a week, over the course of a couple months, you've just done what I try to do for many of my clients in a short period of time. So I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward. He's like, I feel a little bit, I didn't know this was possible. And, from an ethical, moral perspective, I'm not sure what to do. So it was a fascinating conversation to sit across from someone who literally does therapy and does this type of work for a living, and for him to get to experience our work and see for himself what was so shockingly different for him.
Yeah, I think it does come down to an ethical, dilemma, because like I said, I mean, it really blows out the financial model for a lot of these people that, they spent how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in college, and they're trying to pay back their loans, and they're trying to do all these different things to try to bring in revenue. And of course, I mean, like everybody thinks that when you're a doctor or a psychologist, they think, because I teach sales. And of course, people are like, well, I don't want to have anything to do with sales. I mean, I don't like sales. I'm thinking, but wait a minute, you're you want to become a doctor. A doctor is still a salesperson. He's got to sell you on something. And same thing with the psychologists. They're going to sell you on something. They're going to sell you on your problems. They're going to sell you on, and so I think there's going to be people, though, Erin, that are out there right now listening or watching right now, and they're thinking, well, come on, is this just a gimmick? Is this just another one of those things? Because again, come on, especially us that have been, I'm a lifetime self-improvement junkie. Okay. I'm like, my whole life has been reading books and trying to improve and get better. And although it's, I think it's been very healthy for me, but I also think that, what you're saying almost sounds too good to be true. And so maybe if you could kind of dive a little bit into, maybe somebody's problem or maybe somebody's issue that you have seen recently, and maybe give us a little taste of what that looks like and how you, help this person overcome their dilemma.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant idea, as I can use a very simple mini case study of someone we worked with the last few weeks. So we had a very successful entrepreneur come to us. He had 2 very big exits and was working on starting his 3rd company. And he wasn't happy. He was constantly stressed. He was overworked. He shared he was a people pleaser. He had issues with conflict. And even though he had more money than most people will ever see in several lifetimes, he couldn't appreciate it. And he had a constant fear that it would go away. So here's this from the outside, this very successful person who is battling all of these different demons. He felt he would show up and he's like, I'm just a piece of crap and I'm such a bad person and I'm scared. I feel anxious every day. My past success doesn't give me any confidence about the future. So he had all these issues going on, despite looking very successful from the outside. He shared, I think he's in his mid to late 50s. He shared that he had done cognitive behavioral therapy. He had done business coaching and leadership, sales coaching, you name it. Over the course of his career, he had tried all sorts of coaching. And what he shared is through coaching and therapy, he learned an overabundance of strategies and tactics. He would go to his therapy or his counselor and he'd be like, I have so much anxiety. And the therapist would be like, okay, we're going to learn breathing techniques to help you calm your nervous system and manage your anxiety. Or when he's saying, I get triggered and I went into this business meeting for negotiations and the guy said something to me and challenged me, I flew into anger. And so he would go and talk to his coach or his therapist and they'd be like, okay, when you feel anger, when you feel triggered, you're going to count back from 10. So he learned his tool belt of strategies of how to cope and manage with all of his issues was pretty heavy. And then just to try and be a good person, his to-do list of like, I need to do my gratitude work and I need to do my affirmations and then I need to do this and this. It was so long, he felt burdened, right? And
But
so
these are things, Erin, that, I mean, these things have been around for 50 years, man. I mean, this is like the old way of doing things. I mean, everything you just described, I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, breathing's good. We should all breathe better and learn how to breathe and have good breathing techniques. But I don't know that that's going to change your life in a session or a few sessions. And so
yep.
I think what you just described, and I want people to hear that, and I was I have a coaching program and I was talking to them, it's called Wealth on the Beach Club. And we meet every week. And I was telling them this morning that we all must adapt, right? The world changes. Technologies change, the way of thinking change. If you think like someone 20 or 30 years ago, you're probably not going to be as effective or as high of a performer as you would like to be in this day and age. So this is refreshing. I'm so excited about the things you're going to teach because this is refreshing to know that there are really smart people out there trying to figure out things. And of course, MindFix technology is coming up. So continue, please.
Yeah. So he shared all of his tools, his strategies and tactics. And what he was lamenting about was the fact that all these things they're like bandages over my cuts, that the issue comes up and here's something to kind of calm it down for a little bit, but it's still there. I'm still dealing with the same self-worth, anxiety, fear of losing things, lack of self-confidence or lack of like confidence in myself that I feel that I was dealing when I initially started, when I was in my 20s. And he was quite frustrated. So we worked with him, and as an example of we not giving tools, but our approach of no, let's identify what's going on and subtracting things. Through conversation, we found that he had a number of programs or like lines of code that were running in the back of his head. And some of them were very basic things like, I'm an imposter, I'm a fake, or I'm a fraud. I can't hold on to money. Money always goes away. He had some money stuff. He had some stuff about himself. I'm a bad person. A handful of these things that when he said them out loud, it was uncomfortable. Like a part of him believed it. A part of him was like, I'm great. Of course I can hold on to money. I've got it in the bank account. But another part of him had all these doubts. So when we uncovered that there are these programs and these loops running in the background that he was constantly trying to be like, no, I don't believe these. When we can bring them to the surface, there are very simple, straightforward ways. I have a video of me doing it up on YouTube to clear these, to delete these, to help the mind understand and let go of its grip on these. So by clearing out some of these programs, I'm a bad person, I can't hold on to money, I'm an imposter, I'm a fake, I'm a fraud. and clearing them, deleting them, subtracting them to the point where someone can go, oh, it hurts to say. And at the end of the session, they're like, did I believe that? Like the night and day difference of allowing someone to get rid of a program, subconscious program. When that clears, and those programs and those beliefs and belief systems aren't there, for example, the next day when he wakes up in that loop in the background of I can't hold on to money, I can't hold on to money, and I'm a bad person, and I'm an imposter, when those just aren't there, it creates so much space and openness, and all the energy that goes into, I don't want to hear that, I don't want to believe that, I'm great, and all that, it's freed up. And that can go towards taking action and being inspired and moving forward. And when you get on a call and you're in a conversation without that loop in the background that I'm a bad person and I'm an imposter, when that's not there, you get to show up more authentically without all the noise and the chatter and the doubt and the self-criticism. So what subtraction does is it simply creates space, reduces friction and resistance. So after a few weeks of us clearing out some of these programs, and then also going back and looking at some of his challenging business experiences where he had massive failures, and we have ways that we can drain and subtract the emotional charge around those, like this big, huge multi-year contract failing, and the memory and the static that was around that, and him being able to go back and remember that without any charge. So by draining, subtracting emotional charge around past traumas, by finding the lines of code and the loops that are going in the background that are fighting against who we truly are, and subtracting those. By doing those two simple things with him, he felt like a new person, like a version 2.0. After a couple months, just a couple hours a week, he literally said, I've been going to therapy for the last 30 years, and I had no idea it was possible to feel this good as a human being. I show up differently for my family, for myself, and in business, because I don't feel like I'm carrying a backpack of doubt and worry and fear, and that's tied to all of my past events and concerns. So we didn't give him any tools, we didn't give him any homework. We just kept identifying the programs, the beliefs, the thoughts, the triggers, and the past memories. And we'd go through very simple methods. There's no magic, there's no hypnosis or anything. We cleared them so that they no longer sat in his system, and he felt like a changed person.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.